Hi guys, a couple of questions on the last video around the Philippines. I think I'm going to have to cover more of the Philippine stuff. I know I kept trying not to do it, and then I stumble onto these things every now and again, like being a good alternative for getting away from all the headaches that are going on in the West at the minute. Musa Villarin, I assume that's correct. Apologies if it's not correct in your name. Can you do a video about remote working prospects of expat jobs in the Philippines? The first thing I want to say in the Philippines is the best jobs are reserved for Filipinos, but also the pay is not great anyway. The best ways to make money are online, and you already have most of these tools already at your doorstep, because let's face it, a lot of companies are anti-offshoring, and then it's still offshore anyway. So it's sort of like you want to use sites out there like freelancer.com, develop yourself on fiverr.com, people per hour. Let me think of another one for you that's oh, hang on a minute. There's plenty out there. Just look for freelance websites, because the key to it is actually start developing it now, because the hard bit is developing your creativity and ability levels, because you may have to change out of your comfort zones to fit these markets. So you may be used to doing things a certain way, but you'll understand the freelance market can be quite aggressive, narcissistic, sacrificial, in the sense of you work really hard, get paid okay maybe, and then thrown the week after because they've changed direction or whatever, and they don't really need to consult with you because you're a freelancer. The world can be a bit like that. So the first thing I want to say is it takes time to develop on the freelancing. I've done it, I did okay at it. Carlos, a friend of mine, does it full time, and there's plenty of other guys I know that do things like teach English online. They do it full time and have been doing it for over a decade. But it's not an easy sell. It's something you've really got to work at. You've got to be focused. Like if you're teaching English, most of it is around being organized. Most of it's around demonstrating value. So the response to becoming a English teacher, which is TESOL, teaching English as a second language, is get your TESOL certificate. Not difficult, but you do need to understand things like the verb to be, but it's not complex. Most teaching this day and age is very methodical and simplified. It's not thought process driven, and I don't mean that in a, well, I do mean it in a negative way. I mean most people are regurgitating rather than actually being creative. There is opportunities to be creative. Denise over here in Spain was teaching people English, predominantly Spanish. Myself, I was teaching predominantly people from Thailand English, and there's plenty of stuff out there. You may not be making the same sort of money that you used to making. It may not be a full-time job you're after, maybe just pocket money you're after. I would say it's good rather than sitting at home, and often people drop into these habits of drinking and doing nothing else. Keep the mind active and these sort of stuff. You know, if you've got like 2 or 3 lessons a day, okay, it works for you. But there's some options. Work in the Philippines, it's difficult. Most of the stuff, if you know my early stuff, I did everything off my own back. So, you know, I went out to the Middle East, built apartments, had an internet cafe, had a call center, sold load. We had, well, we still have got a Sari Sari store, which is a corner shop. What else have we had? Yeah, we sold load. We had a piggery. Lots of different business opportunities, and the most stable way of doing it is having a bit of everything. I found that the peso machines, which are coin slot computer machines, so basically you pay like the equivalent of like, I don't know, say call it a quarter, 25 cents American money or whatever. It's based on pesos. They're called peso because it's just a coin, but you find in the Philippines a lot of words are double. So like if you go for a motorcycle ride where you're on the back of a motorcycle, as a passenger, it's called habal habal. Now, habal habal has a completely different meaning than riding on the, well, it's when two pigs are engaged in activities, but they use the same for the motorcycle, but that's where that comes from. It's like you're the passenger on the back of the motorcycle, but that's what the habal habal is. But I found the most practical way of doing it is having bits of everything. So renting the apartments out could pay, when Kento was out there, I think Kento's rent would pay for the groceries. The peso pesos would pay for the electric. Another activity would pay for the water. It was all bits and pieces. So if you get a nice bit of land, with in a good relationship, etc., you can set up all these little micro businesses that can actually make you sustainable. And my whole objective was to be sustainable. It wasn't about being rich. It was about just being sustainable so I could do what I want. This is why where I am in Spain, getting the mortgage paid goes back to my foundation of being able to do what I want. This is why the mortgage is the important bit. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'll do another update on that separately. But yeah, for job activities, you really need to understand you're going to have to think outside the box. But you probably already got skills, but not using them in a way that you currently do, that you could sell as a freelance skill. Video editing, photography, Excel work, data analysis, sales as a SaaS, sales as a service. These are all things that are sellable. But I can't do your homework for you. You need to do it yourself. And there's no point going to the Philippines thinking someone else will do it for you. They won't. Most of these guys are out there will be fighting for the same work. So it's in low interest to help you too far. Maybe go, yeah, it does work for me, and you might not get much more. English teaching, I think they're a bit bigger because it's such a big spectrum of people. Whoop. And often the schools are looking for more than one teacher anyway, so it's not like you're competing against each other to the same level. But that gets into the whole marketability and what you can charge for your going rates as well, which in each niche you will find more information. So for example, if you're teaching English to students in Spain, I'd expect you can charge more than you will for kids in Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, etc. But if you've got like a doctorate and other things that you can make yourself more marketable, you'll probably get away with charging more. That's reality. I mean, myself, I was charging, this going back, probably 6 years ago, I was charging about $10 an hour. But it wasn't really bothering me. For me, I was just looking at, tick over money and doing something interesting. So I hope that helps. But like I said, it's quite a broad thing. The easiest way to do it is join TESOL groups and teaching overseas groups, and you'll find information in those groups. Which schools are working, which are bad payers, people will be quite open in there. So I do recommend going down that route of asking those questions. And what was the other question that came in? For a single guy, newbie to the Philippines, considering moving to Cebu, can you recommend 3 top cities, walking distance to miles and not far from the beach? Now, one of the things I'll say, when you live next to the beach, you probably won't go to it as much as you think. I mean, just to put it in context, let's go outside, it's too hot in here today. The beach for me, here in Spain, is there. I've been home for the last couple of months because I'm working from home, and I haven't used. I'm going to open this up, let some heat out. So one of the things I would say is I would actually look at a bigger picture piece on things like earthquakes and what's been decimated in the area with bad weather in the winter, the tsunamis and typhoon season, because those things make a big difference. I tell you, I mean, we lost a roof, was it last year or a couple of years ago, The roof got ripped off our building. We've had to put a new roof on it. We did a load of disaster relief previously at Typhoon Haiyan. There's videos in the channel if you go further back. The reality is, city-wise, is not. As soon as you go city, you're talking people. As soon as you go people, you're talking pollution. So one of the things I'll tell you from Cebu City, if you're in Cebu City, drive north or south, and you'll see the environment change around you as it goes more green. The water looks clearer. You know, it goes from like a detergent green or brown or whatever to really nice water. When you go right down to the bottom of the Cebu Island, you can see fish at your feet. You know, that's how beautiful it is. My best advice is the cities have healthcare, good healthcare. The further you get away, the worse the healthcare. The further you get away, the less there is of infrastructure. These are all things that will have an impact. So if it's around Cebu City, what would I recommend doing? First thing is, Cebu City has massive traffic problems, the same as Mactan Island has now. I would say the traffic's about 5 times more than when I was living in the Philippines. When I went back, going from the airport to Minglanilla was probably 3 times longer than it was previously. I would also say the SRP, the South Road proper, has developed and created more traffic issues as well. But you may find around the SRP, there's a lot of moles around there, but it's the moles that you're looking for. If you're on Mactan Island, because of the traffic, you've got that congestion piece with Lapu-Lapu, etc. When you want to go north or south of the island or into Cebu City, it's a little bit congested there. But I do know there's people that live on Mactan Island. They like living on Mactan Island. You got the beaches that you may be after, but at the same time, I'm more based in Minglanilla, which is sort of south of Cebu City, not a million miles away. But that gives you access to the South Road to head all the way down as far as you like. I like going down to Naga and just keep going. You know, I like riding the motorbikes down there. It's beautiful. And then you want to go over the mountains, go to Toledo, etc. I would say the way the Philippines is, there's malls everywhere. You know, even the like smaller cities have a lot of malls. Because the cartels, let's face it, the companies that your Gisanos, your Ayalas, your SMs, they own the monopolies. So their malls are all over the Philippines. One of the things I would take into consideration though is, I believe the electricity in the cities is more expensive than more rural. You may get power rotations as well. I mean, I remember those up in Manila. Even when I was up in Manila, you'd flip the water on. You get your big bucket, and you'd leave it on because the water would be off. It would just go off. You'd use all the water up, leave the tap on, and the water went on because the water would start filling up again, and then you fill it to the top because you don't know when the water's going off again. You get power and water rotations. It's not as bad as it used to be, because you get the power cuts. They're called brownouts, which I don't think is a common term in Europe, but maybe a common one for Americans. But power cuts can be regular depending where you are, because they rotate the power in the Philippines. You can look into it yourself to understand why they're doing it. But I prefer living outside the main cities. Yes, it's great having all the supermarkets and everything on your doorstep, but I mean, even where I am, Minglanilla, where it is so much busier than it was before. I'd even be tempted to move further south away from everybody. It's when you go out on your motorbike stuff and you're you come back and you have to shower from the road dust, the smog, all the crap that you've absorbed on your body being out on your bike. It's not nice. So my views, if you're going to the Cebu, you mentioned Cebu, let me remember your name. I'm terrible with names because OK Billy. Yeah, it's OK Billy. I'm not saying OK Billy. So I'd say if you want to be near the airport piece and near a beach, you could look at Lapu-Lapu, look at Mactan Island. Personally, I wouldn't recommend Cebu City itself unless because I don't know what age you are, what your lifestyle choices are. Because if you're sort of retired, looking for an easy life, I would look at the developments in that instance around Ayala SM, because they build the big malls and they develop the housing around it. So I know a few people that will come to the Philippines, get out the plane at Mactan Airport, go to Ayala, which is a massive mall. They've got their condo apartment within walking distance of the mall, and that's where they stay. You know, for me, I like going out on my motorbike. This is why the UK, Spain, I'm itching to buy that Honda Rebel at the minute, which I think is probably going to come later in the year. I'm just about to buy a new car. So I'd say have a look at Mactan and Lapu-Lapu area. You might find it too busy because it is crazy busy, but there's beaches not far from it. If you was looking further south, I like Minglanilla, but you might find it too quiet. But you may find that you want it even quieter, so you can go even further. Go to Naga. Go. What's the next one down from there? Ooh, I know what it's famous for, but I can't remember the name of the place. But there's opportunities down there. But like I said, they're quieter, but at the same time, logistic-wise, for good medical treatment, needing to go get your visa renewals and stuff. The South Road goes all the way straight. You know, you can go straight up the coast along that side. There was supposed to be another road developed round there, but I think there was something about the land. There's some dodgy deal on the land which is underwater, which happened years ago. Because it's supposed to be right along the coast, and it's basically underwater. So I don't know what they're going to do with that in the future. But along there, I do recommend there's opportunities. And in the north, I didn't spend too much time in the north, but there is places in the north in the similar sort of context. You can be just outside without being in amongst everything. But there's plenty of malls in Cebu. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, you go your Robinson's malls, your Ayalas, your Quezanos, what's that? Is it Rustin's? There's definitely more than that off the top of my head, and you know, that's just names. There is more malls within those names as well. But also, what type of lifestyle do you want? If you're looking for a more Western standard, etc., you probably want to be in one of the bigger developments like near the SM malls, the Ayala malls, etc. If you're wanting more traditional Filipino, you probably want to move a bit further south. The cost of living is a bit cheaper. I believe your electricity is cheaper per kilowatt. And like I said, the road access is good to greener pastures. Because I do like it. I've got to admit, I do like it because you once you start heading south, you only realise how polluted and everything is when you just head south, and the air suddenly feels a bit fresher. And until you do it, you don't know probably won't know what I'm talking about. But it's sort of like there's like a barrier where you suddenly feel the air's fresher and the water. You know, you go over the rivers on the bridge, and it starts to look cleaner and beautiful. And like I said, the beaches, Mactan, it's probably got some of the easiest beaches, because it's like when you go in Naga, the beach there for me is very polluted. So it may be nearby, but I wouldn't recommend the water. The other thing with Mactan, you've got things like you can hire boats. They're probably still coming off near the side of the Shangri-La Hotel, where you can hire a boat from there. The Japanese and Koreans have pumped the cost of hiring a boat up, but at the same time, they're on your doorstep. But one of the things I do recommend is sorting transportation out once you're localized. I like motorbikes, I've had jeepneys, I've had multi-cabs, but I like motorbike best. A, I can cut through traffic, but B, I just feel more free out and about in the Philippines. Hope those bits of info help. Thanks for watching.